I came to bury sleep.
Cursed spite that ever I was born to set it.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?
This is the excellent foppery of the world.
And that, I think, finally is what Shakespeare is, a heightened expression of life. When I played him, I was 27, I think, much too young, but it was get a big success. And what Henry Hughes said, he looks like has a profile of a dog, a fox terrier or somebody, and he's too young, but in the jealousy scenes, he's the greatest Othello some of us have ever seen. And I'm deeply grateful, I think, that today when I pass on, I know that the ardent edition of Shakespeare will go on as it's gone on, and the ardent edition of Othello, Mr. Robeson, Paul Robeson and myself are the only two black actors mentioned as being of, shall we say, merit. And it's thrilling, you know, it's good to know. In Norway, and Denmark, and Sweden, I played Othello many, many times, and it was really exciting playing it in a different language, although when I played it, I didn't feel it was all that different, because you have to, this is the way this man speaks. And in Othello, he's an outsider from the get-go, so that playing him in Norwegian didn't seem that far off. It felt just as natural to do one as it is the other after a while. And then it got too natural, and in a tour in Denmark, I realized one night I had to stop it. I was becoming an actor who did Othello in Norwegian, and while doing it in Norwegian, I could be thinking other things in other languages, such as French or English, and I thought, okay, well, no more. And that's the way it was. In Lear, that was the one, that was, excuse the expression, the ball breaker. He's got the bad scenes, he's got many scenes in which he truly can rest, to say nothing of scenes in which he's not in at all, he can rest. The only thing you've got to be careful about is to get a Cordelia who doesn't weigh so much when he carries her in dead at the end. Edmund, first time I read the play, I thought, oh, this is silly. He's going to forgive these characters whom he's ordered to be murdered just because he's been wounded and he's dying. But then when I played it, not Edmund, but the play, and I thought, oh my God. He says, the wheel has come full circle, something about I was loved. And I thought, yes. He never felt that he could be loved. So why not? Thou nature, my goddess. And then he finds out that two women killed. One murders a sister over him, and the other kills her suicide. Well, get somebody, hurry up, I'm trying to do some good despite my nature, run! And of course it's too late for Cordelia. Very interesting, that's Shakespearean. If I thank you for that example is absolutely right. I enjoyed it to, as you said, study Shakespeare. Well, in a way I would change that word. We don't really study him. He gives us such paths to go along, or ideas, or things you find as you go along playing him that you didn't know before, didn't see before. It's a stunningly exciting adventure. The greatest moments of my life was working with Eva the Galleon on stage in Knoxville, Tennessee. She did 4 matinees alone, scenes from various plays, not all by Shakespeare, but other matinees we worked together in dual scenes from Shakespeare, and that was, we did all of the speeches from Macbeth. It was just extraordinary, and King Henry VIII, she was Catherine, and others. Oh, and then Romeo and Juliet. That's something I'll never forget. She came in from New York, and I was down there working with a play that we're doing there. And she said, I could hear that voice as she came into the building. Earle, she and Gilgan, the most beautiful voices on the face of the earth. And I heard that voice. Earle, I think we should give them something lyrical, don't you? I thought, something lyrical, don't I? And what she meant was we should do the balcony scene from Romeo and Juliet. I thought, oh my God. But I went along with it, and she was my goddess. Were I your bird, I should kill thee with much cherishing. I would let thee hop a little from my hand, and then pluck thee back again. I could see her fingers then, and of course she had the injured hands from the fire that she suffered, and this little finger was hardly there at all. But still, you didn't see that. You simply saw the bird and saw how great love was stringing about his neck and pluck back. Well, I saw at that moment Juliet, whole, a 79-year-old woman. And that's the great thing we can be grateful to Shakespeare for, it seems to me, is that he reveals things that we didn't know we knew. And I think that's why the fact that he never, gave a damn about his books, the published versions of his works. He didn't care. It was what was done on that stage and how much money it made that he did care about. But at the same time, in order to get that money, in order to keep his company on that stage, and so that thousands of people came to one performance, which was a matinee, there in us things that are so incredible. We say, oh yes, I remember, that's how it is. And we weren't in Elizabeth, England, but so many things are still going on here. You can find them, I find them especially with things of nature, flowers, scents, taste, all the important things, the senses. He knew them to such a degree of exactitude, of also feeling. It's just like a rose. You can say all you want, and Gertrude Stein, but it was Shakespeare who gives you the rose in its scent, shape, color, extraordinary. And he didn't want you to buy the book either. He just wanted you to come to the theater and buy a ticket. I never did study acting. I just went on and did it until I got into trouble after big success in Broadway, Mr. Johnson. After Mr. Johnson, in which they pulled up their hair saying how great I was, I felt, couldn't really, and it worried me. And I went to my director of Mr. Johnson, who was a teacher, Robert Lewis. I was also a member of the Actors Studio, and I told Bobby what had happened. He said, well, we'll work in my class, but don't work with Lee in the Actors Studio. And I said, oh no, I won't do that. But I did, of course, work out the Actors Studio, and it was through Lee Strasberg that, and the scene from Othello, the jealousy scene, that I broke that block. Because the block was, I went on, in every part I played after Mr. Johnson, to act great. You can't do that. I didn't know it then. But with Lee working on that scene, and starting out, he had me go to bed, or to the cot, and Iago took my soldier's clothes off and my coat, and Lee said the last thing, do not speak one line of dialogue until you really feel you must. Although he knew all that stuff that I did phony. But I did obey him, and I didn't speak until I felt I had to. And then I looked at Alan Miller, who played the Iago, who really was superb. Because I tried to get him to let me see his face and let me get some proof. Is she or isn't she? And he wouldn't say anything, and then I pushed and knocked him on the floor. And he started to get away, and I grabbed him, and it was by his shirt, and the shirt tore, and I kept tearing the shirt, and I can't tell you. And it started from just quietly lying in the cot. And my bad acting, I'm just done now, please forget that. But it was so true and so real. And then from then on, I've never had an acting block, because it's what you know about it. It's what you see, what you understand. And if you're relaxed enough and your concentration is focused enough, there has got to be a reaction that is logical and that sometimes hurts. Emotions do hurt sometimes, but sometimes you rise above it too, even the worst of emotions. And then later on you may pass out, why did I cry when they told me my mother died? But when it happened, you didn't. You didn't even really know what happened. All of that, I think all of that is the actor, and I think all of that is what Shakespeare as an actor knew and reminds us of today and gives us today, if we're only humble enough to say thank you.